Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So today we are going to start the next video जिसमें हम स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं क्वेश्चन नंबर 309 से. In this series जैसे कि आपको पता है we are completing the spectrum book through 700 MCQs. 700 में से 308 questions we have already covered. अगर आपने पहले की वीडियोस नहीं देखी है तो I will give the link of the playlist in the description box. आप वहाँ से जाके playlist देख सकते हैं. And if you need this revision PDF, obviously you can see the pinned comment section. You will get the link to download this revision PDF. So without wasting time, let us start with our first question, that is question number 309. Now 309 question क्या है? Who founded the Indian National Liberation Federation opposing Gandhi's path? Now ये कौन सा पाथ था एंड ये किस चीज़ के बारे में यहाँ पे बात हो रही है? It was regarding the Montagu claims for reforms. अब ये मॉन्टेगू क्लेम्स फॉर रिफॉर्म्स आए थे इन द ईयर 1990 इन विच डायरकी एट द प्रोविंशियल लेवल एटसेट्रा मैनी थिंग्स वेयर देयर. नाउ गांधी वॉज वेरी मच अग्रीड टू द मॉन्टेगू क्लेम्स फॉर रिफॉर्म्स एंड गांधी को देयर वेयर सम ऑफ द मॉडरेट लिबरल लीडर्स हु वेयर अपोजिंग द आइडिया दैट वॉज held by Gandhi. So in opposition to the Gandhi's path, in opposition to the Gandhi's ideas, this new organization, that is the Indian National Liberal Federation, was established in the year 1919. Now who founded this? It was founded by Surendranath Banerjee, and in addition to Surendranath Banerjee, T.B. Sapru, that is Tej Bahadur Sapru, and M.R. Jayakar, both of these were also very much active in formation of this Indian National Liberal Federation. Okay, so यहाँ पे हमारा B करेक्ट आंसर है एंड ये क्वेश्चन CDS 2020 में पूछा गया है. सो दिस इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू, आपको ये पता होना चाहिए. नेक्स्ट देखते हैं. विच टर्किश लीडर अबॉलिश द कैलिफेट वीकनिंग द खिलाफत अपील. ओके, नाउ the Turkish leader at that time was Mustafa Kemal Pasha, ठीक है, who was at that time of Egypt. He abolished the caliphate, जबकि डिमांड थी उस टाइम पे खिलाफत, which the Turkey was considered as the supreme seat of the Khalifa. So all of the world was protesting when by the Treaty of Sevres ब्रिटेन ने एबॉलिश कर दिया था दिस खिलाफत का सीट. ठीक है, टर्की वॉज डिसआर्म्ड, डिसमेंबर्ड एंड खलीफा वॉज एबॉलिश्ड एट दैट टाइम. सो एक टर्किश लीडर भी थे कमाल पाशा, इन्होंने एबॉलिश कर दिया था खलीफा, जिसने कि खिलाफत की अपील को इट फर्दर वीकेंडेड. ठीक है, कमाल पाशा नाम ध्यान रखना. हु वेयर नोन एज द नो चेंजेस ड्यूरिंग द कांग्रेस स्प्लिट पोस्ट नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट. So after the non-cooperation movement, there were two groups, that were the pro-changers and there were no-changers. ठीक है, अब pro-changers कौन थे और no-changers कौन थे? जो हमारे no-changers थे वो थे वल्लभ भाई पटेल एंड राजेंद्र प्रसाद. एंड द pro-changers, who were the pro-changers? मोतीलाल नेहरू etc. These people were the no-changers. चित्तरंजन दास, मोतीलाल नेहरू. And that is why in the year 1923-1922 स्वराज पार्टी was founded. स्वराज पार्टी क्यों फॉर्म हुई थी? Because Gandhi was against the idea of contesting into the elections into the legislative council. Legislative council के elections में गांधी did not want कि इसमें अभी एंट्री होनी चाहिए, and that is the reason why this स्वराज party was formed. Okay, council entry के regarding this Swaraj party was formed in the year 1922. Okay, the no changers, they focused on the constructive work and prepared for the future civil disobedience movement. Now, which party was formed in 1923 with Motilal Nehru as the secretary? I just right now I told you Swaraj party 1923 में form हुई थी regarding the questions of council entry. It was formed to enter legislature and obstructs the British policies from within. Next, who was elected as the Speaker of the Central Legislative Assembly in 1925, and this is very much important. So this is Vittal Bhai Patel. This was a landmark achievement of the Swarajists inside the council. Vittal Bhai Patel was elected as the Speaker of Central Legislative Assemblies. So ये नाम आप ध्यान में रखना, this is very much important. नेक्स्ट है विच बिल डिड स्वराजिस्ट हेल्प टू डिफीट इन 1928। इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है, अगर आपसे थोड़ा सा एग्जाम कम्स ऑन द डिफिकल्ट लेवल ना, सो दिस क्वेश्चन कैन बी डेफिनेटली आस्क्ड। सो यहाँ पे द स्वराजिस्ट हेल्प डिफीट द पब्लिक सेफ्टी बिल। नाउ द बिल एम टू डिपोर्ट सबवर्सिव फॉरेनर्स एंड वॉज ब्लॉक थ्रू द ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन। नेक्स्ट इज हु फाउंडेड द कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया इन ताशकंद इन 1920। सो द कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया, इंडिया में जो उसकी फॉर्मेशन हुई थी वो 1925 में हुई थी एंड फॉर्मेशन की थी एम.एन. रॉय ने। हालांकि ऑल ऑफ द लीडर्स दैट इज़ मैंशनड है, मुजफ्फर अहमद भी हैं यहाँ पे, ऐसे डांगे भी हैं यहाँ पे। ऑल ऑफ दीज आर रिलेटेड टू द कानपुर कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस विच इज़ रिलेटेड टू द कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी एंड दीज वेयर ऑल्सो द कम्युनिस्ट लीडर्स, बट दिस कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी दिस वॉज फॉर्म्ड बाय द एम.एन. रॉय। मेरठ कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस 1929 इन्वॉल्व, अभी मैंने बताया मेरठ कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस भी रिलेटेड था उनसे, एंड कानपुर कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस भी था रिलेटेड टू द लेफ्टिस्ट एंड ट्रेड यूनियनिस्ट। ओके, नाउ दिस मेरठ कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस में क्या हुआ था, क्रैकडाउन ऑन 31 कम्युनिस्ट एंड यूनियन लीडर्स एक्यूज्ड ऑफ सेडिशन। हु लेड द बारदोली सत्याग्रह इन 1928। अब सत्याग्रह यहाँ पे लिखा है तो ये मत समझ लेना कि M.K. गांधी हैं। दिस बारदोली सत्याग्रह वॉज लेड बाय वल्लभ भाई पटेल, ठीक है, एंड इट वॉज ड्यूरिंग दिस मूवमेंट दैट द टाइटल ऑफ सरदार वॉज गिवन टू वल्लभ भाई पटेल फ्रॉम द वुमेन्स ऑफ बारदोली। जो वुमेन्स थी बारदोली की, इन्होंने टाइटल दिया था सरदार का टू वल्लभ भाई पटेल। फर्स्ट May Day in India was celebrated in Madras in 1923 to show labor solidarity. Which caste movement was led by Periyar in 1925? It was the self-respect movement. Okay, the self-respect movement E.V. Periyar was aimed at dismantling caste and gender discrimination in Tamil society. Next है under which revolutionary group was active in Punjab, UP and Bihar with socialist leanings? Now दो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के नाम आप यहाँ पे याद रखना। देखो, अनुशीलन समिति भी सचिंद्र नाथ सयाल ने फॉर्म की थी एंड दिस इज ऑल्सो ए रेडिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। गदर पार्टी वॉज बेस्ड इन सैन फ्रांसिस्को। चित्तागोंग रिबेलियन ग्रुप, ये 1930 में चित्तागोंग आर्मरी की रेड हुई थी, दैट वाज डन बाय सूर्य सेन। सो ये तो बंगाल में है। दिस वाज बेस्ड ऑन सैन फ्रांसिस्को एंड दिस वाज आल्सो बेस्ड ऑन बंगाल। सो अगर आपको बाकी ऑप्शंस का भी आइडिया है ना, तो यू कैन क्लियरली एलिमिनेट द क्वेश्चन एंड आपको पता चल जाएगा कि यहाँ पे हिंदुस्तान रिपब्लिक एसोसिएशन यहाँ पे हमारा करेक्ट आंसर होगा। नाउ हिंदुस्तान रिपब्लिक एसोसिएशन ये 1924 में फॉर्म हुई थी बाय चंद्रशेखर आज़ाद। एंड सब्सिक्वेंटली अगर मैं बात करूँ यहाँ पे HSRA, दैट इज़ हिंदुस्तान सोशलिस्ट रिपब्लिक एसोसिएशन, तो यही जो HRA है ना, दैट वाज लेटर रीनेम्ड एट HSRA इन 1928 एंड इट वाज फाउंड बाय भगत सिंह बिकॉज भगत सिंह वाज हाईली इंक्लाइंड टुवर्ड्स द सोशलिस्ट आइडिया एंड लेटर ही ऑल्सो इस्टेब्लिश द भारत नौजवान सभा। ठीक है, सो ये सारी बातें आपको ध्यान में रखनी है रिगार्डिंग द सोशलिस्ट मूवमेंट। एंड अगर मैं बात करूँ पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस एंड प्री इंडिपेंडेंस टाइम के भी हमारे जो मॉडरेट लीडर्स थे हु प्रोपागेटेड सोशलिज्म वाज जवाहरलाल नेहरू। ठीक है, 1936 में कांग्रेस के सेशन में इन्होंने ये प्रपोज किया था सोशलिज्म का फर्स्ट टाइम इन द कांग्रेस। नेक्स्ट इज विच ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वाज फाउंडेड इन कानपुर इन 1924 टू लीड आर्म्ड नेशनलिस्ट रेसिस्टेंस। अभी मैंने आपको बताया था हिंदुस्तान रिपब्लिक एसोसिएशन ये फॉर्म हुई थी 1924 इन कानपुर एंड हिंदुस्तान सोशलिस्ट रिपब्लिक एसोसिएशन HSRA 1928 में ये फॉर्म हुई थी दिल्ली में देयर इज़ अ स्टेडियम राइट नाउ, फिरोज शाह कोटला स्टेडियम विच इज़ नाउ रीनेम्ड एज अरुण जेटली स्टेडियम। ठीक है, सो फिरोज शाह कोटला में दिस वॉज इन दिल्ली, दिस HSRA वॉज एस्टैब्लिश्ड। नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट वाज द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ काकोरी ट्रेन एक्शन इन 1925। सबसे पहले तो ये समझ लेना कि काकोरी ट्रेन एक्शन दिस वाज द वर्क ऑफ हिंदुस्तान रिपब्लिक एसोसिएशन जो 1924 में फॉर्म हुई थी। ओके, द मोटिव वाज टू लूट द ऑफिशियल रेलवे कैश फॉर रिवॉल्यूशनरी फंड्स एंड दिस वाज डन बाय राम प्रसाद बिस्मिल, ही लेड दैट। चंद्रशेखर आज़ाद वाज आल्सो देयर। सो लूटिंग ऑफ ऑफिशियल रेलवे कैश फॉर रिवॉल्यूशनरी फंड, दिस वाज मेनली द एम ऑफ दिस। हु threw bombs in the Central Legislative Assembly in 1929? So this was thrown by Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt. ठीक है, भगत सिंह एंड बटुकेश्वर दत्त ने बॉम्ब ये they threw these bombs against the protest against the public safety and the trade dispute bill. It was not meant to kill anyone. ये ध्यान रखना, ऐसे आपको स्टेटमेंट वाइज क्वेश्चन में दे कैन आस्क यू कि जो बॉम्ब द बॉम्ब दैट वाज थ्रोन बाय भगत सिंह एंड बटुकेश्वर दत्त एट द सेंट्रल लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली वाज एम टू किल, किसी ऑफिशियल का वहाँ पे नाम दे देंगे, बट दिस वाज नॉट डन टू किल एनीवन, दिस वाज अगेंस्ट द protest against this public safety and the trade dispute bill. Okay, understood? Next is, which activist died after 64-day hunger strike in Lahore jail? This was Jatin Das. Next is, who led the Chittagong Armory raid in April 1930? मैंने बताया था आपको, Surya Sen was there. Under the Mastarda Sen, 65 revolutionary took part in the bold raid. ठीक है, this is very important question. ये question exam में आ सकता है. Which female revolutionary conducted a suicide raid and died in action? It was Preeti Lada Vadedar. Okay, she attacked a European club and swallowed poison to avoid capture. Important है, ये भी आप ध्यान रख सकते हैं. Who founded the Punjab नौजवान भारत सभा in 1926? मैंने आपको पहले बता दिया था, it was भगत सिंह. ठीक है, it was created to inspire and organize youth into the anti-imperial struggle. Next is, what ideology phrase did भगवती चरण वोरा यूज टू डिफाइन द रेवोल्यूशन? सबसे पहले भगवती चंद्र वोरा के रिगार्डिंग ये ध्यान रखना कि ही रोट अ बुक फिलॉसफी ऑफ बॉम्ब्स. फिलॉसफी ऑफ बॉम्ब्स वाज द बुक दैट वाज रिटन बाय भगवती चंद्र वोरा. ठीक है, इट वाज देयर फॉर रिवॉल्यूशन ऑफ मासेस फॉर द मासेस. दिस वाज द फ्रेज दैट वाज यूज्ड, रिवॉल्यूशन बाय द मासेस फॉर द मासेस. ठीक है, इन द फिलॉसफी ऑफ द बुक फिलॉसफी ऑफ द बॉम्ब ही लेड आउट द सोशलिस्ट रिवॉल्यूशनरी आइडियाज. नेक्स्ट है, विच नॉवल बाय शरद चंद्र चटर्जी इंस्पायर्ड यूथ एंड वॉज बैंड? इट वॉज पत्थर देवी. ठीक है, इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है ये सारे, कभी भी पूछे जा सकते हैं. इफ़ द देखो बेसिक लेवल के क्वेश्चंस तो मुझे ही एक्सपेक्टेड है कि आपको पता होंगे, बट ये सारे जो क्वेश्चंस हैं ना, these are a pretty good question and these can be asked in your examination. So I expect you कि एटलीस्ट अगर स्पेक्ट्रम कर रहे हो, बेसिक क्वेश्चंस तो आप कर ही लोगे, वो सब करवाते हैं. ये थोड़े से डेप्थ के क्वेश्चंस हैं, सो आई होप कि इसको भी आप रिवाइज कर लोगे अच्छे से. ओके, सो शरद चंद्र चटर्जी रोट पत्थर देवी. भगत सिंह रीडिफाइंड रेवोल्यूशन as I told you, Bhagat Singh in the later times of his life was highly inclined towards socialism. Socialism भी ऐसा था that was slightly inclined toward Marxism. So Marxism का मेन फोकस होता है अनजस्ट सोसाइटी. अनजस्ट सोसाइटी का क्या मतलब है? बेसिक आइडियोलॉजी क्या थी मार्क्सिज्म की? मार्क्सिज्म की बेसिक आइडियोलॉजी है कि देयर आर बेसिकली टू क्लासेस इन द सोसाइटी. द फर्स्ट वन इज द प्रोलिटेरिएट, second one is the bourgeoisie. Okay, so these proletariat, they oppress the bourgeoisie class and extract more and more from them. So Bhagat Singh redefined his revolution as a transformation of unjust society and political order. He linked the revolution with justice, socialism and emancipation. Who was the chairman of Simon Commission? Pretty much easy question. Sir John Simon, as the name suggests. It was appointed in 1927. He led the All British Commission rejected by the Indian political parties. Why the Indian political parties rejected this? Because it was a all white. No Indian member was there. So all white commission was this was. Next is, why was the Simon Commission opposed by the Indians? Obviously, it has no included Indian members. What slogan was commonly shouted during the Simon Commission protest? So the slogan was Simon Go Back. Black flags were protest across all the countries greeted the commission. Which leader died due to injuries from a protest against the Simon Commission? Important question है. No, it was Lala Lajpat Rai, who was conducting a protest against the Simon Commission and ultimately he died. Okay, his death intensified revolutionary sentiments leading to Saunders assassination. अब जब भी लाला लाजपत राय died, later Saunders was killed and this happened. Next is what did Simon Commission recommended in its final report? सबसे पहले तो you need to know why the Simon Commission was made. This is also an important question. Now, if you remember, Montagu claims for reforms आए थे. Montagu Chelmsford reforms आए थे, या which is also known as the Government of India Act of 1919. Now it was said in this Montagu Chelmsford reform that further कितने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव बेनिफिट्स इंडिया को देने हैं, दैट इज़ टू बी डिसाइडेड बाय अ कमीशन विच विल बी कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड आफ्टर सम टाइम. दिस साइमन कमीशन का रोल ही यही था कि इट वॉज टू असेस द डेवलपमेंट्स दैट वेर देयर इन द कंट्री आफ्टर द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट. ठीक है. सो व्हाट इट डिड वॉज, इन्होंने बोला कि प्रोविंसेस को ऑटोनॉमी दे दो. क्यों ये बोला? क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1919 से द सिस्टम ऑफ डायरकी इन प्रोविंसेस वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. ठीक है. एंड सेंट्रल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, देयर शुड बी नो सेंट्रल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड प्रोविंसेस को सारी ऑटोनॉमी दे दी जाए. दिस वाज देयर. नाउ व्हाट चैलेंज डिड लॉर्ड बर्किनहेड इशू टू द इंडियंस? Now Lord Birkenhead said that the Indians are not capable to craft their own constitution. They do not have that talent कि वो अपना constitution craft कर सकते हैं. And it was in reaction to that कि in the year 1928 Nehru report was made. Nehru report was made for only this purpose, ये दिखाने के लिए कि yes, the Indians are capable to make their own constitution. Okay. Now it prompted all parties conference and the Nehru report in 1928. And who made the Nehru report? It was Motilal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru मत मार्क करना. Motilal Nehru made this Nehru report. Next is, who chaired the committee that drafted the Nehru report? It was Motilal Nehru. This was the first Indian attempt to frame the constitution. Next, what political status this Nehru report proposed for Indians? Now it rejected the idea of two-nation theory and it advocated the dominion status. Okay, the dominion status which will be modeled after self-governing dominions like Canada and Australia. Next, what electoral system did Nehru report advocated? It advocated for joint electorate with minority reservations, separate electorates that were rejected. The joint electorate was proposed. Also इस Nehru report में advocacy of the ideas of the fundamental rights were also incorporated. Next is, which rights were included in the Nehru report? अभी बताया मैंने, fundamental rights and adult suffrage. Total 19 fundamental rights including women's equality and universal suffrage, these all were included. Next is, what was the Hindus Mahasabha stance on the Nehru report? Say they strongly opposed Muslim majority provinces. That was an idea which was given in the Nehru report. Next is sorry, which amendment did Jinnah propose in the Calcutta session 1928? So Jinnah proposed 1/3 Muslim representation in the central legislature. Okay. Next is, what did Jinnah's 14 points demand regarding the constitutional reforms? So Jinnah's 14 point की main demand यही थी कि full provincial autonomy मिले with the federal structure. It aimed to safeguard Muslim interest under any future constitution. Next, which community was promised protection of religious, educational and linguistic right in Jinnah's 14 point? So obviously it is concerned with the Muslim League ideas. So Muslim community के लिए regarding था ये. Which league was founded by Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose as an alternative to Congress Dominion stand? This was the Independence for India League, which was formed in the year 1930. And this is an important question. ये question आपके एग्जाम में आ सकता है. Okay. Independence for India League, it was established by Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. It was formed to campaign for complete independence, rejecting the dominion status. When did the Lord Irwin issue a statement promising a roundtable conference? When was this statement issued? It was issued on 31st October 1929 and in totality 3 roundtable conferences हुई थी, जिसमें कि the Indian National Congress participated only in the second roundtable conference. Next is, who presided over the Lahore Congress session in December 1929? It was Jawaharlal Nehru, and the idea of Purna Swaraj was accepted in this Lahore session. Next is, what date was observed as the first independence or the Swaraj Day? It was the 26th January 1930. 1930, and this is the day when the Republic Day is celebrated, क्योंकि स्वराज, the first पूर्ण स्वराज day was celebrated on that day. What was the symbolic act that launched the civil disobedience movement? It was the Dandi Yatra. ठीक है, it was the Dandi march and breaking the salt law. The Gandhi picked up the salt at Dandi on April 6, 1930, defying the salt monopoly. Which town marked the end point of the Gandhi's Dandi Matra? Dandi Yatra. It was Dandi, of course. 240 miles journey थी, जो नेशनवाइड सत्याग्रह था. Who organized the salt march in Tamil Nadu in April 1930? And this is important. It was C. Rajagopalachari. He led the coastal march from the Tiruchirappalli to Vedaranyam. Next is, what campaign did Congress launch in Zamindari's areas after the Gandhi's arrest? It was No Chaukidari tax campaign. It targeted the British imposed local levies and strengthened the rural resistance. Which region saw the Satyagraha led by Kilappan? So Kilappan led the Satyagraha in Malabar. The Vaikom veteran expanded the movement in the Kerala's coastal belt. Who led the salt disobedience at Nakhas Pond in Patna? This is important for the BPSC examination. ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. This was definitely Ambika Khan Sinha. Which revolutionary group attacked armories in Chittagong during the same period? It was Indian Republic Army. 1930 की famous raid है, which is associated with Chittagong. Who founded the Khudai Khidmat Gar volunteer force in Peshawar? It was the Khan Abdul Ghaffur Khan, which is also known as Badshah Khan, also known as the Frontier Gandhi. He led the non-violent red shirts in the northwestern frontier province. Which town saw a major strike after Gandhi's arrest during the movement? It was Sholapur. Sholapur textile workers launched a fierce response starting May 7, 1930. Who led the raid on Dharsena salt work in May 1930? It was Sarojini Naidu. Okay, alongside Imam Sahib and Manilal, she led the Satyagraha after Gandhi's address. Which tribal leader raised the rebellion in Manipur and Nagaland? It was Rani Gaidinliu. She resisted the British rule following her cousin Jadwang's spiritual political movement. What loss did the British government face due to agitation? It was decline in revenue from cloth, liquor and land. Which agreement led to the suspension of the civil disobedience movement? It was the Gandhi-Irwin Pact of 1931. And इस पैक्ट के बाद ये डिसाइड हुआ था that the Indian National Congress will participate in the round table conference. Okay, and it is the result that second round table conference में गांधी जी represented Congress. Which demand of Gandhi was not accepted in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact? Right to make salt for personal uses, ये तो accept हुआ था. Inquiry into the police excesses, this was not accepted. Peaceful picketing rights, release of non-violent prisoners, ये सारा कुछ accept हुआ था. But right to inquiry into the police excesses, what? Not accepted. Also, the Gandhi's pleas to commute the Bhagat Singh death sentence, ये भी जो है approve नहीं हुआ था. Which session of Congress endorsed the Gandhi-Irwin Pact in 1931? It was the Karachi session of 1931 and it was led by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Next is, what social right was guaranteed in the Karachi resolution? It is universal adult franchise and equal legal rights. What economic policy was proposed at the Karachi session? It was the state ownership of key industries and protection of workers, which focused on land revenue relief, debt control, living wages and union rights. Next is, who inaugurated the first roundtable conference in 1930? It was King George V, जिन्होंने first roundtable conference को inaugurate किया था. Why did Gandhi attend the second roundtable conference alone? Because he was the sole Congress representative. What major deadlock affected the second roundtable conference? It was the idea of minority rights and communal representation. ठीक है, the issue was over the divergence over Muslim and depressed class reservation, which stalled the consensus. So ये यहाँ पे question आ सकता है, if the paper is on the difficult size ना, they can ask this question. तो यहाँ पे आपको पता होना चाहिए deadlock था on the issue of minority rights and the communal representation. Which announcement followed the second roundtable conference? It was the communal award. MacDonald warned of unilateral British decision if India fails to agree, and communal awards were ग्रांटेड, इन विच डिप्रेस्ड क्लास के लिए सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट अनाउंस किया था. विच मुस्लिम मेजोरिटी प्रोविंसेस वे आर कार्व्ड आउट एज पर द राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस अनाउंसमेंट. सो नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न फ्रंटियर प्रोविंस एंड सिंध, ये दो रीजन जो है वो कार्व आउट हुए थे. विच इंडियन लीडर डिड नॉट अटेंड द थर्ड राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस? इट वॉज महात्मा गांधी. What legislation emerged from the RTC recommendations and white paper? It was the Government of India Act. ठीक है. Now Government of India Act 1935 में आया, which is also known as the blueprint of Indian Constitution. Next है, which province witnessed a firing on political prisoner as Hijli jail in 1931? So this was in Bengal. Next is, what was Ramsay MacDonald's role in the Communal Award of 1932? He was the British PM and the chair of the Minority Committee. This is an important question. Explanation आप पढ़ सकते हैं. We are now going to do the questions in a pretty fast way क्योंकि हमें बहुत सारे questions cover करने हैं. इसके बाद around 300 questions और है. नेक्स्ट इज, व्हाट यूनिक इलेक्टोरल फीचर वॉज ग्रांटेड टू द डिप्रेस्ड क्लास इन द कम्युनल अवार्ड? इनका क्या था? डबल वोट, सेपरेट एंड जनरल. इनको 2 वोट देने का राइट्स था इसमें. दे कुड वोट विद इन बोथ द कम्युनल एंड द जनरल इलेक्टोरेट्स. दीज आर दी हिडन पॉइंट्स जो कि कम्युनल अवार्ड में थे, ये आपको पता होने चाहिए. हु साइंड द पूना पैक्ट ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द डिप्रेस्ड क्लास? सो इट वॉज BR अम्बेडकर एंड MK गांधी के बीच में दिस पैक्ट वॉज साइंड ऑन द आइडिया ऑफ सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट्स. ठीक है. पूना पैक्ट में क्या हुआ था? दे अबैंडन द आइडिया ऑफ सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट इन एक्सचेंज फॉर इंक्रीज्ड रिजर्व सीट्स. 71 सीट से 142 सीट्स रिजर्व कर दी गई थी. विच ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिड गांधी एस्टैब्लिश ड्यूरिंग हिज एंटी अनटचेबिलिटी कैंपेन? इट वॉज द ऑल इंडिया एंटी अनटचेबिलिटी लीग. 1932 में दिस वॉज एस्टैब्लिश एंड इट वॉज लेटर रीनेम्ड एज हरिजन सेवक संघ. What weekly journal did Gandhi start in January 1933? It was the journal Harijan. What analogy did Gandhi use regarding Hinduism and untouchability? It was Hinduism dies if untouchability lives. What major differences separated Ambedkar's and Gandhi's approach to untouchability? And this is important. ये क्वेश्चन आपको आइडियोलॉजी बता देगा कि what was the ideology of Ambedkar and ideology of Gandhi. Okay, so Ambedkar emphasized constitutional reforms. Gandhi saw it as a moral failure. Okay, Gandhi believed that societal level पे अगर untouchability के against में there is a voice, then certainly the conditions can change. But Ambedkar was very much concentrated on the constitutional right should be given to the untouchables. That was the major difference. Ambedkar wanted legal safeguards, whereas Gandhi focused on personal atonement and spiritual reforms. मतलब the change should come from within, वो वाला concept है. What was Nehru's proposed strategy after the civil disobedience movement? It was struggle and victory. He advocated direct continuous struggle for socialism without passive defeat. अब मैंने बताया था ना आपको 1936 में the first moderate Congress leader who advocated the idea of socialism was Nehru only. In which year did Congress formally decide to contest the central legislative elections? This was in the year 1934. How many central legislative assembly seats did Congress win in 1934 elections? So 45 seats जीती थी कांग्रेस ने. The Congress captured 45 out of the 75 Indian reserve seats, boosting national momentum. Next is the 1935 Act introduced which key structural changes at the provincial level? So provincial autonomy was given. As we know that the Government of India Act introduced in 1919, इन्होंने introduce किया था diarchy at provinces. सो 1935 के एक्ट में क्या हुआ था? ये जो डायरकी थी ना, ये जो डायरकी थी प्रोविंसेस में, इसको अबॉलिश कर दिया गया था. एंड डायरकी एट द सेंट्रल लेवल, डायरकी एट द सेंट्रल लेवल वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. नेक्स्ट देखते हैं. व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन फॉर फॉर्मिंग द ऑल इंडिया फेडरेशन अंडर द 1935 एक्ट? द कंडीशन वाज 50% पॉपुलेशन होना चाहिए. एग्रीमेंट ऑफ स्टेट्स अलॉटेड 52 सीट्स. विच लिस्ट structure did the 1935 Act use for the legislative power? It was the federal, provincial and concurrent. Threefold division था that guided jurisdiction between central and provinces. What fraction of the federal budget was non-votable under 1935 Act? Around 80%. जो बजट था, फेडरल बजट था, वो नॉन वोटेबल था. एंड द गवर्नर जनरल रिटेन कंट्रोल ओवर बल्क ऑफ द बजट. 80% बजट के ऊपर कंट्रोल था. Under 1935 Act, the Council of States had how many members? Council of States में 260 members थे. What was the voting system introduced for the provincial election in 1935? It was direct elections with communal electorate. What percentage of Indian population was enfranchised by the 1935 Act? So 14% of the Indian population को right to vote दिया गया था. How did the Gandhi describe the Congress ministry formed in provinces? It was the crown of the thorns. Gandhi warned that holding office should not comprise the moral duty. Which civil liberty reform was introduced under Congress provincial rule? This was repeal of the emergency power. Okay, this is an important question indeed. Next, what limited the scope of agrarian economy by agrarian reforms by Congress ministry? This was limited legislative power and financial resources. Which leader chaired the National Planning Committee in 1938? It was chaired by Subhash Chandra Bose. He guided the early planning efforts to strengthen the indigenous industries and social welfare. When did Congress ministry resign from power in protest of British war policy? And this is important. Congress ministries ने resign किया था October 1939 में. Next is, where was the 1938 Congress session where Subhash Chandra Bose was elected as the president? It was the Haripura Congress session. ठीक है. Now, who moved a resolution at Tripuri asking Bose to nominate a committee aligned with the Gandhi's wishes? It was Gobind Ballabh Pant. What was Subhash Chandra Bose's view on the India's economic future? It was the industrial and socialist economy. ये उनका view था. What did the Congress demand as a condition for cooperation in British war efforts in 1939? Obviously, formation of a constituent assembly, जो कि first बार ब्रिटिशर्स ने अगस्त ऑफर में दिया था. ये भी ध्यान रखना. अगस्त ऑफर 1940 में आया था, and it was in the August offer that for the first time British agreed with the idea कि हाँ, a constituent assembly should be there to frame the constitution for India. Next, what was Gandhi's stand on launching the mass movement immediately after the World War II began? Gandhi thought that it opposed due to communal and organizational challenge. What resolution did Muslim League passed in Lahore in May 1940? It was the demand for a separate independent Muslim state. This resolution of Lahore resolution of Muslim League is also known as the Pakistan resolution, and it was a call to separate the Muslim majority regions to be separated. Who presided over the Ramgarh Congress session in March 1940? It was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Okay, Ramgarh session is important, so आपको ये पता होना चाहिए. What did the August offer of 1940 proposed as India's political future? It was the dominion status, जो कि अगस्त ऑफर में दिया गया था. What assurance in the August offer pleased the Muslim League? It was the veto for minorities. Minorities were assured no constitution would be adopted without their consent. Next, who was the first Satyagrahi in Gandhi's individual Satyagrah campaign of 1940? It was Vinoba Bhave. The first Satyagrahi, second Satyagrahi थे Jawaharlal Nehru. And Brahmadatta was the third Satyagrahi. तीनों के नाम मैंने बता दिए हैं. तीनों के तीनों नाम बहुत important है, so you should know this. What was the slogan associated with the individual Satyagrah escalation? It was Delhi Chalo movement. Important है, ये पूछ सकते हैं. ठीक है. Delhi Chalo movement is related to which? कौन से मूवमेंट से रिलेटेड है? सो दिस इज रिलेटेड टू द इंडिविजुअल सत्याग्रह ऑफ 1940. नेक्स्ट देखते हैं, व्हाट टू कंडीशंस डिड द कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी ऑफर इन रिटर्न ऑफ वॉर सपोर्ट? इट वाज द फुल इंडिपेंडेंस आफ्टर वॉर एंड इमीडिएट ट्रांसफर ऑफ पावर. नेक्स्ट है, व्हाट मेड गांधी चूज नेहरू एज हिज पॉलिटिकल लीडर? इट वाज नेहरूज कमिटमेंट टू इंक्लूसिव नेशनलिज्म दैट वाज देयर. व्हाई वाज द क्रिप्स मिशन सेंट टू इंडिया इन 1942? इंडिया से सपोर्ट लेना था. इंडिया से सपोर्ट लेना था फॉर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2. ठीक है, तो सीक इंडियन सपोर्ट ड्यूरिंग द वर्ल्ड वॉर सेकेंड. What controversial clause in the Cripps proposal allowed provincial withdrawal from Indian Union? It was the right of provinces to have separate constitution. Who officially negotiated with Cripps on the behalf of Congress? It was Nehru and Maulana Azad. Why did the Muslim League reject the Cripps mission proposal? Because Cripps mission ने reject किया था the idea of full autonomy. they rejected the idea of full autonomy and the idea of separate nation as Pakistan. On what date was the Quit India resolution passed by the Congress? So it was passed on 8th August 1942. The resolution was adopted at the Bombay's Gwalior Tank Maidan, demanding immediate British withdrawal. Who led the parallel government in Balia during the Quit India movement? It was Chittu Pandey. Which female leader formed a women's regiment in the INA? And this is important. ये थे सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने फॉर्म किया था रानी ऑफ झांसी रेजिमेंट इन 1943 फॉर वुमेन सोल्जर्स. What day was observed as Pakistan Day by Muslim League? It was 23rd March 1943. What was the major cause of 1943 Bengal famine? It was the rice import stoppage and military diversion because World War II हो रहा था. So all of the grains and food products were diverted there. What did the Rajgopalachari formula proposed after World War II? They proposed plebiscite in human majority, Muslim majorities areas. A post-war plebiscite was suggested to decide on forming a sovereign Muslim state. What was a key demand from Jinnah that opposed the CR formula? It was Congress acceptance of a two-nation theory. What did the Desai-Liaquat Pact aim to establish? They aimed to establish interim government with equal Congress and Muslim League representation. And Desai-Liaquat Pact में 20% of seats were reserved from the minorities in the proposed central government. Who convened the Shimla Conference in 1945? It was Lord Wavell. ठीक है, Wavell sought plan to reconstruct the executive council with Indian members. What key mistake led to the breakdown of the Shimla talks in 1945? It was Muslim League was given virtual veto over the talks, and they were adamant to form the separate Muslim state. Who originally proposed forming an Indian national army for the Indian POVs, person of wars? This was Mohan Singh. He initiated the INA in 1942 with Japanese banking and Indian POWs. Prisoners of war. POW एग्जैक्टली होता है प्रिजनर्स ऑफ वॉर. जो भी इंडियन सोल्जर्स थे वॉर के टाइम पर उनको अरेस्ट किया गया था, उनकी हेल्प से द इंडियन नेशनल आर्मी वॉज फॉर्म. Who led the INA first flag hoisting on the Indian soil at Morang in 1944? It was Colonel Malik. INA's Bahadur group hoisted the flag amid the chants of Jai Hind and Netaji Zindabad. Which slogan did Subhash Bose famously declare in Malaya? Give me blood and I will give you freedom. What was the name of INA? What did the INA give? What name did INA give to the Andaman and Nicobar Island? The name was given as Shahid Dweep and Swaraj Dweep. And these two were the island that were given to Indian National Army कि वहाँ से आप ऑपरेट करो. What alias did Subhash Bose use while traveling to Tokyo in 1943? It was Abid Hussain. Next is which event marked the peak of naval resistance against the British rule in 1946? It was the Royal Indian Navy Revolt. इसमें क्या हुआ था? 1100 ratings of HMIS Talwar. They went on strike demanding for withdrawal from Indonesia and fair treatment. This was mainly the Royal Indian Revolt of 1946. What slogan did RIN ratings crawl that triggered arrest and unrest? This is the Quit India movement. Which cities were paralyzed during the 1946 naval and student upsurges? This was Bombay and Calcutta. And this is important. ठीक है, 1946 naval strikes के दौरान Bombay and Calcutta were the worst affected. What major electoral gain did Congress make in 1945-46 elections? इसमें था कि 91% of the non-Muslim voters and a majority of in the most of the provinces. Okay. Congress dominated nationally, including the northern western frontier province and Assam, and they also contested zones. What was the purpose of the cabinet mission? Obviously to frame a constitution, resolve Congress League conflict and frame the constitutional procedure. And it was under this cabinet mission program that the Constitution of India was made and the Constituent Assembly was made. What was Congress' main objection to the grouping clause in the cabinet mission plan? It was compulsory grouping contradicted provincial autonomy. The Congress opposed forced grouping, arguing it violated the principles of provincial autonomy and undermined the democratic choice. What major decisions did the cabinet mission reject? It rejected the demand for a full-fledged Pakistan. Which section in the cabinet mission grouping represented the Hindu majority provinces? So section A में Hindu majority provinces था, which included Madras, Bombay, UP, Bihar, Odisha and Central Province. What power did the common center retain under the cabinet mission plan? So defense, communication and external affairs जो था वो अंडर कंट्रोल था. वाई डिड द मुस्लिम लीग कॉल फॉर अ डायरेक्ट एक्शन डे ऑन August 16, 1946? It was for Nehru's dismissal of compulsory grouping and for the formation of Pakistan obviously. What was Congress main critic to the of the grouping clause? इनका ये था कि it undermined the provincial autonomy. What statement best reflects extreme communalism? So communities have conflicting interest and cannot coexist. This is an idea behind the extreme communalism. Who led the 1906 Muslim delegation demanding separate electorates? आगा खान ने डिमांड किया था. Which event passed the Pakistan resolution? It was the Lahore session of Muslim League 1940 जिसने ये resolution पास किया था. What was the communal impact of the 1932 communal award? It accepted all Muslims' communal demand. What was the side effect of the Wahhabi and the Shuddhi movement? It was the acceleration of communalism due to militancy. What was the deadline was fixed in at least statements for British withdrawal from India? This was 30th June 1948 का डेट रखा गया था कि इस डेट तक the British would withdraw themselves completely. Which new viceroy was appointed after Attlee's Feb 1947 announcement? Lord Mountbatten was appointed. Next is, which province's referendum was held under the Mountbatten plan? Referendum हुआ था NWFP and Sylhet के लिए. Okay, referendum for NW Northern Western Frontier Province and Sylhet. What date did the Indian Independence Act officially come into force? It came into force on August 15, 1947. Why did Congress accept dominion status in 1947? To ensure the continuity in bureaucracy and prevent violence. What was the Gandhi's reaction to the partition in 1947? He was helpless as the communal mindset and he was very much disheartened. Who led the Indian States Department responsible for integration post-independence? It was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Next is, which act marked the first formal British intervention in the Indian governance? This was the Regulating Act of 1773. Now, अब क्या है कि ये जो क्वेश्चन है ना 450 क्वेश्चन तक वी हैव ऑलरेडी डन. नाउ इसके आगे के जो क्वेश्चन है ना वी विल डू इन दी लास्ट वीडियो में हम इन टोटलिटी 250 क्वेश्चंस करके इस सेक्शन इस सीरीज़ को यहीं पे ख़त्म कर देंगे. यहाँ पे हमारे एक्ट्स का रिवीजन शुरू हो गया. ठीक है, सो 450 तक वी हैव डेल्ट विद द इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस एक्ट ऑफ 1947. बचे हुए जो 250 क्वेश्चंस हैं दे आर वेरी मच कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड ऑन द एक्ट्स, इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी, वॉइसरॉयज एंड ऑल ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग्स इज देयर इन द नेक्स्ट वीडियो. सो अगर आपने वीडियो यहाँ तक देखा है तो प्लीज़ वीडियो को लाइक करना, आप कमेंट करके बताना वीडियो कैसी लगी and do subscribe the channel. So till then keep studying and thank you for watching the video.